Good morning.
Good morning.
Theo, great job. Nicely done. Always in the family stray, you do wonderfully. Nicely done.
Yes.
Nicely done. This morning we're going to be in 2 Timothy chapter 2, and we're going to be in verses 1 through 7, specifically 3 through 7. It says, You therefore, my child, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Jesus, and the things that you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, commit to faithful men who will be able to teach others. Share in the sufferings as a good soldier, to please a recruiter. No one serving as a soldier gets entangled in concerns of everyday life. And also, if anyone competes as an athlete, it is not crowned unless he competes according to the rules. It is the hardworking farmer who ought to be the first to get a share of his crops. Consider what he is saying, for the Lord will give you understanding in everything. I'm going to divert just a little bit from Paul here. And so what I want to do today is I wanted to give to you what I would suggest that I would ask, that I would suggest for you for 2020. Three things that I would suggest. So how do we handle 2020? I would like to suggest three things. Number one, I'm going to go into basketball coach mentality. I was a basketball coach, been teaching for about 20 years, and of those 20 years, I was a coach for about 9. And so what I want to do is I want to take these scriptures, and I want to say, what would I tell my basketball team at the very beginning of the season? This is our plan for the next year. I'm going to tell them three things. And Paul kind of gets into it here in these few verses. Number one, have a solid game plan. Have a solid game plan. I've been coaching long enough to know that each team comes at basketball differently. One year, there was one team who said, I am going to throw up the basketball towards the hoop every 10 seconds. So as soon as your team gives it up, they would take no more than 10 seconds to try to get it in the hole. If you're understanding a little bit of basketball, that just speeds things up. That team averaged over 90, 100 points a game. There are other teams who said, no. We're going to wait till the last 5 seconds of the shot clock. And so they had scores closer to the 40s, 30s, and 40s. And so again, different ways to play that game. The question is, do you have a solid game plan? And I would say that we need to have the same thing. We need to have a solid game plan. This year is going to bring us different things for different people. We're not going to all experience the same year. We're all not going to experience the same thing. We're each going to have to go at it individually. My year is not going to be yours, and your year is not going to be mine. But each of us need a solid game plan. And what do we mean by that? I would say this. What do we know about Jesus and his word doctrinally? What do we simply know about it? Or to say it the way the apostles did it, do we understand the creed? The very, very basic creed, and then can we explain it to somebody else? Let me say that again. Do we have a solid game plan? Do we know the very, very basics? If we don't know the very, very basics, I think that we're going to be swayed back and forth. So the first thing that we need to know is the very, very basics to be able to do that. Number two, one of the things that I would tell my players is to, basically it was a daily thing too. It was number one, to maintain the good and to honestly address the bad. To maintain the good and honestly address the bad. To maintain the good. I mean, you come into all players like to have fun with the good. They all like to get into the opportunity of doing what they like to do. And so from a basketball standpoint, I liked my players to be able to maintain those things that they were good at, maintain those things that they had fun at, because once you do that, you're able to react to a situation, and it's just fun. It becomes fun. Now, here comes the problem. when I would coach, the one thing that you feared as a coach was a full court press. You know what? You could, if you wanted to, avoid the full court press by not even practicing it. Sure, try that. But the first time a team throws a full court press at you, and you're going, oh shoot, now what do I do? And you're going, we didn't practice this. Well, why didn't you practice it? Because we don't like it. Well, is that helping you right now? How's that working for you? And so there are blind spots as a coach that you got to make sure that your players understand that yes, you don't like this situation. This kind of pulls anxiety into you. But even those anxious moments, you got to work on those. And so for us as Christians, there might be part of our life that we don't want to address, but those are the things that we need to address. Number one, we need to be good at, continue to be good at those things that we're good at, but also address those blind spots. And as we go into this year, I need to be honest enough with myself to be able to address those blind spots. And I'll be honest, this vacation, this break that I'm on for the last week, I've been trying to address for myself some of those blind spots. And so I would suggest that we would do the same. Finally, number 3, I would look at this idea of giving others the same opportunity. Giving others the same opportunity. So let's walk through this. Number 1, do we know the basics? Number 2, are we able to continue to learn the good and be able to also cover our blind spots? Right? Those things that are difficult for us, whether it's money issues, relationship issues, whether it's things that are coming into our brain that we should not be looking at. Are we handling the blind spots? And then finally, I remember I went to Bible college, and I remember that as we were going to Thanksgiving break, he said this before we left. He said, did you know that because you've been in my class, you know 90% more Bible than those that are in your congregation? Much more has been given to you, much more has been expected. I'm a teacher. And if you want to know what's at the heart of the teacher, it's when you look into a student's eyes and you see a question in their mind and they're struggling. You have 2 options at that point. You can say, this isn't my fault, this isn't my problem, and walk away. Or you can look at them and go, I can solve that. Do you want to give other people the same opportunity that you have? Do you want to give other people the same opportunity you have? Because, in my mind, much has been given to us, much has been expected. And so in this year, I remember what one person said. He said, you know, when I get to heaven, I want to be tired.
What?
When he said, when I get to heaven, I want to be tired. I want to be so tired because everything that Jesus put on my plate, I went after. I do. When I get to heaven, I want to be tired.
What?
I want to be tired not because of all the things I tried to do and all the fun I tried to have. I want to be tired because everything that Jesus wanted to accomplish in my life, the things that he wanted to do through me, those are the things that I committed myself to, and those are the things that I did. So today, as we go through 2020, 3 things that I would recommend. Number 1, have a solid game plan, to know the basics, to work on the basics. And this is something, honestly, that it's also a shield for you, because people are going to start questioning things in your life, and you're going to have to answer those. Well, why do you believe that? Why do you handle it that way? Nobody else does it that way. Can you tell me why exactly that you believe what you believe? And to be able to have a solid foundation, to be able to have a solid game plan. Number 2, to be able to continue to do those things you do well, and to also cover those blind spots. Because I'll be honest with you, those blind spots, and you know what? Everybody has them. So don't think you don't. Everybody has them. Everybody has blind spots. And I have them. And if I wanted to, I could air out those, but I'm not going to this morning. But it is. It's one of those things that each of us have to deal with those blind spots. And part of that is, it's the realization that we have not arrived yet. And so I think that Jesus gives us those blind spots to make sure that we are continuing to learn. And then number 3 is, do you have a heart when you look at others to try to give them the same opportunities you got? I hope you do. Because you can't, yes, once you get your stuff together, sure, you could just kind of shut your door and just say goodbye. But in reality, there's somebody else that needs you. Who needs you? Who needs you? You need me? Who needs you? Thank you.